Let's queer up politics. Government shutdown avoided by banning pride flags and closing the DEI office. On Saturday, Congress passed a government spending bill to avert a partial government shutdown, but the legislation has triggered complaints from both parties. Several provisions have drawn criticism, including a ban on pride flags at U.S. embassies and the absence of additional funding for border security. As part of the spending bill, the House Office of Diversity and Inclusion will be closed down and replaced by the Office of Talent Management. This move comes 4 years after the establishment of the non-partisan diversity office aimed at promoting diversity within Congress. Another contentious provision prohibits the flying or displaying of any flag other than the U.S. flag at U.S. State Department facilities. This reverses a 2021 authorization allowing U.S. embassies to display LGBTQ plus pride flags. House Speaker Mike Johnson advocated for this provision, which drew criticism from the White House, promising to work towards its repeal. The Human Rights Campaign condemned these Republicans for using the appropriations process to target LGBTQ plus individuals. Additionally, Speaker Johnson faced backlash from members of his own party for supporting a spending bill that increased government spending despite internal divisions. Motions have been made by Marjorie Taylor Greene and others in Congress to remove Speaker Johnson. Both the White House and Capitol Hill leadership endorsed the funding agreement. And then they went on Easter break. So he's there for at least another 2 weeks. It's the most confounding thing is that for so long, the legislative branch of a 3-branch government, executive, legislative, and judicial, has been so dysfunctional that the executive branch and the executive branch and the judicial branch have picked up a lot of the slack. Now the courts are saying it's not our job and we should never do these things to begin with, which means that every single branch of government has forgotten the beginning of the Constitution, which is we the people to form a more perfect union. Now, granted, it has evolved over time as to what we the people means and what a more perfect union means. But they seem to have forgotten all that, and it's all about them. And they will fight to the death to preserve their power and their prestige and their retirement benefits. And that is killing us, and it is playing into the hands of other nations and people within this country that have absolutely no interest in protecting the best interests of we the people. And we do not have the history and information that we need readily available to most of us, easily available, to form opinions and to understand what it is that's going on. Most people don't know how our elective process works. Yeah. Most people don't know how our system works, and they become lazier and lazier because it's too hard to learn. The dumbing down of America has been intentional. It has been generational, and it is frightening as we head into November 2024. And it's unfortunate that every year, almost every year I've been alive, certainly every year you all have been alive, that we say this is the most important election ever, because it is, because we lose so much, we sacrifice more and more in the hope that we will be safe, that we will be taken care of, that we will be provided for. But we never are given the information we need to form intelligent decisions about our futures and the futures of our family. And I have 2 kids. I am always scared about what the world is going to be like for them. Yeah. Because I can't even guarantee what it will be like for me, and I'm certainly more than halfway to the end.
I've always wondered about that statement. Do we not have enough information as American people at our fingertips to make an intelligent choice based on what's going on? And I always come back to we do.
We do.
It's just we are conditioned to be ignorant, and we are overfilled and overstimulated with pleasures that have nothing to do with our own benefit.
There is also overfilled with fear, ignorance, anger, and hate. And when all of those things come together, division is the only way. And it is much easier to be a divider than to be a uniter.
Yeah.
And what's going on is the dividers who seek power and wealth or just power have found every key to dividing us. So I wrote an op-ed for the Miami Herald that kicked off Pride last year. And I got a call from someone who lived in Miami criticizing me for saying the LGBTQ plus community has to work together and we have to be united and we're all under one flag. And he called and he said, who ever gave you the authority to say that trans people were part of our community? They are not. Who allowed them in?
Wow.
I was at Stonewall, and I can tell you, and I said, look, there were millions of people that must have been at Stonewall because everybody I meet now tells me they were there. And Stonewall is really small.
Right.
Yep.
And the street outside Stonewall is not very wide.
Yep.
Really small.
So with all the people who say they were there, good luck.
I handed them the brick. Of course you did.
Right.
I don't understand, like, the ignorance of a lot of gay men, how gay rights started. It was from Marsha P. Johnson.
Sophia Rivera, yeah.
Yes, and why they want to erase that history is so bizarre to me.
Because I always come back to gay men, cisgender gay men are still men, and there's still a lot
goes
goes
on
in this. In this.
I feel that.
Community.
I feel that when certain cis white men look at me with disgust.
It's literally their own misogyny.
Yeah,
and their own fear,
and their own
doubt,
and their own miseducation, and you know, again, we've also got a million things coming at us through social media and the misinformation that's out there. You know, LGBTQ plus people, we're busy trying to live lives. We're busy trying to live. We're busy trying to get jobs and make it, right? So we see, you know, and so there's just some dumb people out there that will see something and believe it. Do your research. Get yourself educated to find out what really is going on.
It's hard to find but it's really hard to find trusted sources of information.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to be bombarded. I mean, look at how many people think Fox is news. Even Fox basically said they're not news, they're entertainment. And yet people look at that religiously. And there are plenty of newspapers and radio programs and whatnot that people take literally because it answers other needs that they have. Not quickly, but sort of biblically. You know, God created the earth. You don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Adam and Eve was a rib. Right. You know, all of those kinds of things. It just makes it easy. And then you have legislators who say, no, we're not going to teach evolution in these schools. We're going to teach the biblical course of history. And we put huge swaths of the population at risk because they can't then compete with the world because they don't have the education. And I remember when I used to do speeches about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, I would say, you have to remember how important education is in the United States. Why? Because China has more A+ students than the United States of America has students.
Wow.
So if you're a business, when China was more liberalized, slightly anyway, where are you going to go for bright engineers or bright doctors? You go to the place where there's all A students versus us taking this group and throwing it over here and this group throwing it over there, where we don't trust our education system. We badmouth teachers at every opportunity we get. Florida says you just need a GED to be a teacher. So we damn the education process. those are the problems that we face, and it's hard to dig your way out of that while you're just trying to survive the course of every day.
Or a place where you can run for president, but you can't be a teacher with the same record that you have going on right now. Like, you cannot be a teacher as a Trump, but you can definitely be president of this.
Right, yeah. Trump can run for president with all those charges against him. No problem.
There are charges. He's not been convicted, and we have to remember. But our system,
but still, if you were you would not be a teacher. You would not be a teacher. No. You cannot get a teacher certification.
But you don't need a teacher certification.
You can't work for the airlines. You can't. There's so many things I can name right now.
Well, he wouldn't be bonded.
That's for sure.